We are hitting a record month at Grand Caliber.
The dress code has been applied.
We still have some boxes and papers that we need to receive.
Turn their dreams to reality.
There's an anti-flex culture.
First of all, y'all are pissing me off.
It feels like Christmas.
And I see another dealer with it on his wrist.
There it is, man.
Little cloudy out here, a couple of raindrops.
She admitted fault at the scene.
Fun trip is almost an understatement.
The whole video is shut down now.
What in the world is going on? We got a pretty exciting day today. It's Friday. We have the winner of the Rolex sweepstakes giveaway coming down from Oklahoma to meet our team and to pick up the watch, obviously. We are hitting a record month at Grand Caliber. We have sold more watches and have done more revenue this month than any other month in company history. This arguably is going to be a top 3 month for the entity as a whole. So taking, the prior company and Grand Caliber, yeah, this is probably going to be the busiest, most profitable and most volume month we've ever done. So really exciting day. I've gotten a couple of people that have messaged me privately on Instagram and ask, what is one of the most valuable lessons I've learned being in a leadership position at Grand Caliber? And the biggest thing I've learned is when it comes to hiring, the amount of money that you should be paying new hire employees. Initially, when we were doing a lot of recruiting or hiring, like right now we're hiring 6 different roles. We're looking specifically for a videographer, 2 sales reps, someone to be a receptionist, a bookkeeper, and there's a few other roles that aren't public yet, so I'm gonna hold off on that. But when we're talking about salaries for these employees, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, it should be, $85,000 for this, or $100,000 for that, or $70,000 for that. What I quickly realized is that being around, luxury watches, being around business owners that are very successful, coming from a career where I made well into the 6 figures, I kind of, and this is kind of embarrassing, but I've been desensitized to what a proper salary should be. There's some entry-level roles that should be $40,000 to $50,000. And in my head, I'm wondering how people live off of that here in Dallas. But when you start to do the market research, you realize, yeah, there's certain roles that 40 to 50 makes a lot of sense. Certain roles where 60 to 70 makes a lot of sense. And, this to me is a little bit embarrassing because, again, I was like, how do people live off of that? And I don't mean that in a negative way, guys. I just really, honestly, that's what came to my mind. And so when you do these hirings, like right now, we do 3-stage hirings. We do a first round interview, which is where we've got to figure out if that person has the right skill set. We do a second stage, which is, does that person have that it factor? And what I mean by it factor is, on our business being on social media, obviously there's a charisma standpoint, an aura that might captivate the audience. That's very helpful to have more personalities in our company that people can gravitate to. And then the third is we fly people out to meet the team in person to make sure that they can fit and gel with the team. And so one of the biggest things I learned is don't overpay early. Make sure that they are not only qualified, but they also fit the culture of the team. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be stuck with a lot of quote unquote salary fat. It is a salary position for some of these positions, and the last thing you want to do is hire someone and then have to let them go down the road. So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned is I in the past have overpaid. So let me know if you guys want to hear something in particular about the behind the scenes, especially on the business side. Maybe these segments are going to be a one-off, maybe not, but I love sharing it. So if you guys want to hear more, follow me at life_of_Jimmy Choo on Instagram.
Hey.
Thanks for making this trip.
Yeah, man.
What do you got on the wrist here?
I remember I'm a Seiko guy.
So Justin from Oklahoma has mostly Seikos in his collection.
Seikos. What's up, man?
What's up? How are you?
Hey, good to see you guys,
Absolutely.
man. It's like surreal seeing you guys, man. I've been watching you guys for years and stuff.
He's got a bunch of Seikos, and today he walks away with a brand new watch here.
Super psyched, man. Heart's pumping.
Come on in.
Well, let's show it to you.
Yeah, man.
How was the drive?
About 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. He's like, I was like, hey, do you want us to ship it up there? And he's like, oh, I'm gonna try to find my way down. I gotta work with the wife and kids.
What's up, Vic?
How you
Man,
doing?
what's going on, dude?
Congratulations, man. Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
bro.
I'm
Appreciate
super
it.
happy for you, man.
I appreciate it, guys.
He was
man.
actually the one that found the watch.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's a dream come true, dude. Like,
go. Hey, that's what we're doing.
Rolly, man.
Turning dreams to reality.
Definitely psyched.
We ran the sweepstakes through a third party, and I'm sitting there like, I hope the person that wins it doesn't have any luxury watch in their collection, hopefully it's someone that bought just one apparel item. It worked out.
So far, this is my luxury watch right here, Seiko.
Let's have a look.
I like the sport watches, so almost all my watches that I own are all like sport divers and whatever, you know what I mean? So this is like right up my alley. Like as soon as I saw that you guys were
This
doing
is
that.
right up your alley right here. There you
For
go.
sure. Feels like Christmas.
Yeah.
This is the first one that you've ever had as well. I'll have, if you want to walk him through just a little features so he knows. Sometimes when I got my first Rolex, I didn't know how to use.
I was hoping I was going to get one of these.
I didn't know how to wind it. I didn't know how to do anything.
Dream come true right here.
Damn, I kind of want to buy a watch from us.
This is like surreal, dude. I never thought I'd be like opening it up. I got the card and the
You see his hand
tags
shaking
and
there?
stuff, dude. Like drum roll. That's nice, man.
Let's see if we have to size it for him.
Yeah, I'm like shaking. Clean, dude. It's real nice.
That's a beautiful watch.
Please fit, please fit.
Oh yeah.
It almost
Almost,
fits perfect.
almost.
It's pretty close.
There it is, man.
Awesome.
Rolex Explorer.
So right now, this is out and it's in the middle, which is where I like to place it. So if we push it in, it should give you a little bit smaller. So try that back on.
Okay.
And let's see if it fits better. Does that feel better?
Oh yeah. That's like
Perfect.
gold right there.
There you go. What I like to do is I like to neutralize the GMT function, and that's just basically, I'll show what I do. Is it already set?
We always set our watches when we sell them to the time zone and to the date, but yeah, it's already preset. I'm gonna check in a month to make sure you still have it. I don't want him. So if you guys don't know, we live in Texas and we don't have any casinos here in Texas. So he's gonna drive back to Oklahoma, which is where all the casinos are. I'm like, don't put it on the roulette table.
Definitely not, man. This is actually like my ideal Rolex for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a pretty watch. I really actually love that watch a lot.
Yeah.
It's a really pretty Explorer too. You know, being white, I like that better than the black dial. It just kind of pops more. It brings out that orange handle.
I like that it's all brushed. It's really not flashy, you know what I mean?
Oh, no. So what do you do back home?
I'm a respiratory therapist.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
you work in the health industry.
Oh yeah. Winning this for all the RTs out there.
Yeah.
Having to deal with this last 3 years.
Just for the viewers, you bought a hoodie from us.
A hoodie.
What was your thoughts on the hoodies?
It's like a luxurious hoodie. Like I was like very surprised at how like the quality of it. I felt like I was like telling my wife I was comparing it to like you went to like a 5-star resort or something, and then you got the robe, you know, and the robe's like all luxurious and stuff, and you want to take it with you. It's got some heft and it feels good. Like so, everybody out there, get yourself a hoodie, any kind of Grand Caliber merch. I'm sure it's like legit, like the hoodie is, and
I'll promise you guys that you'll get it much faster than Justin did, because we completed everything and it was supposed to go into production. As you guys know, our apparel is made abroad in Portugal, which for those who don't know is arguably the luxury manufacturer clothing capital. I mean, you can go to Asia, but you're not going to get that luxury. And if you go to Paris, that's where you get more bespoke things in France. So Portugal is a manufacturing hub for apparel. Well, we were supposed to get it in December 15th. It got delayed because of customs, and big ship that brought it over had some issues. And then it got here, then there was a huge snowstorm freeze in New York, which is the port that it entered through. So we finally have everything, so if you guys order it, you guys will get
All
it.
I have to add to what you just said is I'm glad your Porsche didn't sink.
Luckily, bought mine after that ship went down.
Well, what do you say we grab lunch? We got
man.
we got a spot picked
do
out.
it.
What is this?
What?
Just throwing my water bottle? Like
Is that
trash?
yours? This is what I do when I drive my car. I see trash, I go whoom, as hard as I can behind me, and then it's forgotten about until somebody cleans the car.
Well, this is a rental,
After all,
right?
It's not really a rental. It's like a pre-purchase, possibly me buying a second car.
Can I get an update on why you're driving my car?
Yeah.
Because you just said you needed a car, but I've never actually asked
Famously,
why.
my Audi is cursed. We already know this. Okay, so basically what it is, this time I'm leaving, hold on.
Copyright.
Yeah, right. The whole video is shut down now. I was leaving a club with a bunch of friends the other night, watch dealer buddies that came in, and we were out late one night, and I was leaving, and then some drunk chick plows into the back of me. Hits me twice, actually. She hit me the first time and then tried to run, so I tracked her down. parked in front of her, and then she drives forward again and hits me again, but this time causing way more damage. Now the car's in the shop. She admitted fault at the scene. Yeah, that's right, I'm gonna dox you. No, I call her insurance company, we go through the process, and then I ask, I'm like, you know, did she admit fault? And they were like, no, she said it's not her fault. I said, interesting. So now I'm fighting this. I've been out of town in Miami, so I didn't get a chance to pick up a rental car, but kind of don't want to now. I kind of like this car better.
I'll be getting ridiculed on some platforms because of the vehicles I drive, because there's an anti-flex culture. I would argue that my Carrera S isn't as much of a flex as a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or Rolls Royce or some of these other high-end cars.
I'm gonna call bullshit on all that, okay? Flex culture, my ass. Okay, let me just tell you this. It's one thing to be driving around a car specifically to flex, but if you just happen to be passionate about cars, why can't you own a nice car that you're proud of, that you've worked your ass off for?
That's what I'm saying. I've always wanted a 911. I bought one, and I own this car, which is like a $25,000 car, and then a $4,000 Miata. So it's not like I'm, flexing. These are normal cars outside.
I low-key wanted the Miata, I'm not gonna lie.
If you want, you can take my Miata this weekend.
Marco can't drive a standard.
I can drive a standard just fine, sir.
He's a guy that will ride that clutch too.
I will not.
Ride it like grandma.
Yeah.
First of all, y'all are pissing me off. I don't appreciate this bullshit. Underestimating my driving skills.
We are going wherever Marco takes us, which if I had to guess, it's Capital Prime.
Capital Prime?
Wait. Capital Grill. Capital Grill. I don't need out anymore, so I don't. He's always networking and.
Marco must have a gift card.
Yeah. We're gonna take Justin to get some lunch, let him enjoy the watch, get to know him a little bit more. Day in the life.
I got one more thing for you, and that is a Grand Caliber t-shirt.
All right, man. I will definitely wear this and represent Grand Caliber.
Please do.
Weekly.
And again, congratulations on the win. That's huge.
Appreciate you guys.
Come from a gambling state, so he took a gamble on us, and he got paid out.
You don't take a chance, you're not gonna win, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
My son was saying I was lucky, and I was like, well, you got to give yourself a chance to be lucky. So you got to take a chance and do something every once in a while. It's the only way to be lucky.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Bear with us. It's a little cloudy out here, a couple raindrops, but we're gonna make this happen today. I have a couple pieces that I wanna go over. I have tons of questions. I get asked all the time about the pre-ceramic Submariner versus the ceramic. So today I have two no-date models, 5-digit 14060 versus the newer reference, the 124060, the 41 millimeter. Two completely different watches, even though they're the same. What I'm referring to by the ceramic model, you have what's called a solid end-link bracelet. So that bracelet alone, if you ever get a chance to hold these in hand, both together side by side, you will feel a significant difference in weight. That bracelet has a solid material versus the 5-digit having hollow links. The hollow links, if you look in between each link, you can pretty much see straight through it, whereas the solid end-link bracelet is just as described, solid still. So looking at these watches head on, you'll notice where the aluminum insert is a little bit softer material versus the ceramic. Damaging and scratching a ceramic bezel takes a lot more impact than an aluminum bezel. In addition, on the new reference, you have a glide lock clasp. Something about that clasp, I don't know why, I just wish they did it on every watch that exists. You'll notice it's a little bit longer than the old style clasp, but on the wrist, I just think it wears a little bit more comfortable. This feature allows you to adjust the bracelet on the fly without even having to have a tool. Let's talk about a power reserve. So power reserve, what that allows you to do is fully wind a watch, and fully winding a watch is anywhere between 30 to 40 full turns around with the crown, okay? So once that watch is fully wound and you sit it down, you can go on the 5-digit reference, 48 hours, and that watch will still keep time. On the new reference, you have a 70-hour power reserve. That is almost 3 whole days that watch will keep time if you sit it down. So let's talk about price. The difference between the two, you can pick up A 5-digit, no-date Submariner in the ballpark of $9,000. Going to the new reference, you're in the ballpark of 11 to 11.5. So I want you to ask yourself, is that $2,000 difference really worth it to you? In my opinion, I personally think so. Something about that peace of mind with having that ceramic bezel up top. Also the weight difference. I do like to feel the presence of my watch on the wrist, and it's not too heavy whatsoever. A little bit more comfortable in my opinion. I do find the pinhole class a little bit tougher to get that perfect angle and that perfect fitment. I guess it pretty much depends on your wrist size. Now, in addition to the no date, you will find the date model. It's roughly a $1,500 price difference between the two. I personally do prefer the date. I always find that to be a useful feature with my line of work. So which do you choose? Again, I want you guys to comment below on any watches you want me to elaborate on. Happy to answer any questions. See you next week.
Welcome back to another segment of the behind the scenes this week with Dasiah again. We hope to have this in every episode or eventually a standalone episode. And I think there's a lot more that we can discuss, not only with Dasiah, but with Chris and other members of our operations team. So a good topic to discuss would be how operations handles IWJG. For those of you who don't know, IWJG is a watch trade show. It's one of the most active trade shows out there. Marco and Alfred went out there, and you'll see a lot of other gray market dealers out there. But you always see the action of what's happening with the deals there. But I think we should talk about what happens behind the scenes with the operations team when that happens.
Yeah, for sure. Last week, we talked to you guys a little bit about how even here in Dallas, oftentimes the guys are selling watches immediately after buying them before our team knows about it. When that's happening in person in another state across the country, you can imagine how difficult that can be for us and our finance team sometimes. We talked to you guys a little bit about taxes and our process there last week, and that's something that we have to keep in mind when members of our team are traveling, because where the sale is taking place has a lot to do with how much tax, if any, is being charged. What we usually do, Alfred, Marco, Vic, whoever ends up going to the show, beforehand, they sit down with our ops team and we figure out what watches they're going to take with them. So we make sure that we check everything out in our inventory. We make sure all of the boxes, papers, whatever they need with them, they have all of that. When they get there, it can be a little difficult sometimes because we do have a system that our sales team can sell everything through. But just because they're selling something while they're there doesn't mean that's a watch that they're selling at the trade show, if that makes sense. They still have regular clients they're working with and they're still closing other deals. So it can be a little difficult because there has to be even more communication than usual. And when they're, out of town, traveling, trying to make deals happen, it can be a little more difficult to get in touch with them if they're not sitting in the office with you.
To break that down a little further as well, the tax gets tricky because when you go to IWJG, it's dealer to dealer. So there's not really any taxes involved. However, a lot of times our team will get a list of watches that they want to source or find on behalf of clients. So it is like the wild, wild west at one of these trade shows because though they're working with dealers, they might be facilitating deals on behalf of their clients. So then it's like, hey, is this a B2B, a dealer to dealer deal? Or is this a deal that you're buying this watch on behalf of a client that you're going to sell to?
Right.
Trade shows are usually every single month, either Miami or Vegas, being thousands of miles apart. We're just kind of sitting here in the dark wondering what's happening, right? Another challenge is Marco is very good at this, and a lot of gray market dealers are, where they play this game, which is, hey, we're going to start with this watch at the show, and then we're going to somehow end up with this watch, but there was multiple transactions in between, right? Getting documentation of that. I can't tell you how many times where Marco's like, hey, I just bought this, queue up a wire, get ready to send the wire for this watch. And then he goes, got that watch, actually traded that watch along with some cash, or this watch, bought this watch instead. Oh, by the way, I'm also buying this X watch for a client. And then, oh yeah, I just traded these two watches that I brought as well for this watch. And
there's like 10 transactions that took place in between that us and our finance team have to make sure that we've notated properly.
Yes. And when you're not there seeing the deal, all you're getting is bought this, sold this, traded this in, and you're just sitting there and like, what in the world is going on? But that's just how the industry is. And so it can be a bit of a challenge. And I can only imagine, there are bigger gray market dealers than us and how they do it. We don't even have a booth there at the moment, something that we'll likely do in the future. But then let's talk about the logistics. It costs a couple $1,000s to bring 2 members of our team there. When you're talking flights, hotel, Uber or car rental, food. And then you also have to realize, like, right now they have to register for these events. To actually get a booth, you're talking, high, I would say somewhere between 6,000 to 10,000. And if we were bringing our videographer, our other sales reps, I mean, it could easily be a $20,000, $25,000 trip, especially when you're factoring in shipping all of the watches down there, fully insured.
Absolutely.
Usually we use Malka, bringing it back. That adds up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, depending on the amount of inventory you bring, these trade shows can bring in a serious amount of cash. I think at the peak when we were TPG, we could easily make $75,000, $100,000 of profit in just one IWJG weekend. However, I know bigger dealers out there that have much more significant inventory could make well into the 6 figures, maybe even 7 figures, who knows? So for us, the goal is to get back there as a team, but right now we're sending Marco and Alfred. But it is a challenge because right now, since we're not shipping inventory, we allow our teams to bring some inventory.
Mm-hmm.
So that's reviewing our insurance limit, our carry insurance, making sure that we're fully insured when we do bring those watches out there. And then notating what watches leave. And then probably the most fun you have is figuring out what watches actually come back.
Yeah, we try to communicate with them as much as we can while they're gone, but sometimes it really isn't until Alfred comes back and says, here's my backpack full of watches, go through it, and I have to figure out what didn't make it back, and we kind of work backwards from there. So today our plan is to do a audit of the inventory as a whole, just because that's something we do regularly, just making sure that everything that's in our showroom is in our system and everything that's in our system is in our showroom. So that can be a little tedious, but it's something that needs to be done and that we make sure we do regularly, just to make sure that we know where everything is.
How long would you say a full audit takes of our inventory?
We do it in a day.
About a whole day.
It's a day project. We've had lunch now, and so Sutton and I are going to crank it out the rest of the day.
Obviously, looking at what watches we have here, the box and papers.
Absolutely.
A lot of times, dealers actually don't ship the box and papers to the trade show.
Mm-hmm.
They just bring the watch. And then what ends up happening is, they agree whether cash is transacted, a wire happens. Usually, a dealer, if they are trusted, will take ownership of that watch, and then the boxes will get shipped later.
After the fact. So that's something we'll be working on today too, just making sure that all the boxes and papers are going to the proper person and place, because like we said earlier, there's a lot of trades that happen in between and after deals are done. We still have some boxes and papers that we need to receive from watches that we bought over the weekend. So just making sure we're keeping track of everything that happened this weekend.
So for you guys, you might simply see, the team there selling watches and it's a great time. And I'm sure it is. I've actually never been to an IWJG, but the behind the scenes operation is almost like I'm holding my breath, right? Because getting the watches there, making sure nothing happens. I've heard stories of, dealers having their watches stolen. We talked about...
We wanted some more tool sets, and Alfred and Marco were supposed to pick some up for us. And apparently the guy we buy them from, his booth got robbed at one of the shows, so we couldn't get tool sets. So, I mean, if you think people are stealing tool sets, you have to be very careful
about
if you're
watches.
Bringing thousands of dollars of watches with you.
Also, they have insurance at IWJG, but then you have your own insurance as well. But then thinking about, storage, after hours, like those are little things that, from the operation standpoint, gives us just a little bit of hesitation, because it's like, you might have hundreds, if not millions of dollars of inventory there, the fear of getting it there, getting it back. Mm-hmm. And then the more likely scenario is making sure you can account for all of the purchases and trades. Like I said, they might trade watches start with this watch and trade their way up to this watch. And there could be 4 watches in between. And if you don't notate things properly, you lose something.
Right.
And that's probably the biggest fear, is losing some type of watch. Again, the behind the scenes of what it takes for our team to prepare for IWJG.
It's worth it, but it's a lot of work on everyone's end.
2 things I actually see in the comments that I want to address is, first, this is Dasiah. How do you spell your name, Dasiah?
My name is spelled Dasiah. So it's like Asia with a D at the beginning and an H at the end.
Perfect. So I see a lot of people saying Dasiah. There seems to be a little fan base of yours, but they spell your name wrong every single time.
There seems to be. My name is Dasiah. I have a boyfriend, and I am here because I do good work, not because I'm cute.
And the second thing I want to address is Marco's loops. You guys have seen in the authentication videos how he uses the same loop over and over. We have had a lot of requests to purchase these loops from viewers, from clients. We have done everything we can at the moment to try to find these loops for you. It is something that he buys at IWJG. The first couple of times we tried to go back, they weren't there. Some of these vendors show up one time and might not show up again, or they show up twice a year or quarterly. So we did finally get in contact with them. They are a lot more expensive than we originally thought. The cost for these loops to us, the wholesale cost, is right around $100. We're trying to find a way where we can get you guys these loops that you guys want, and it needs to make more financial sense to do so. We're not looking to make any or that much money off of it, but still being able to front an order, knowing what the demand is. Maybe we can find a branded one from Grand Caliber as well. So we are working on it, guys. I know you guys want those loops. We're doing what we can, but it is something that was a bit of a shock to us as well. So we hope to bring more of these segments to you moving forward. Please let us know in the comments if this is something that you actually enjoy. Maybe it's something that we eventually spin off to its own standalone segment, kind of like Marco does the Under the Loop. Sometimes it will be Dasiah, maybe it'll be Chris, our COO, Sutton, or whomever else in operations. But this is really to give you guys a glimpse of that behind the scenes. So hopefully you guys enjoyed.
Welcome back to the Showroom Showcase. The dress code has been applied. I have now been summoned into dressing nicer. So hope you like it. I spent a lot of money. I'm going to invoice our new sales manager because he owes me some money for it. Just kidding. We're going to do something a little more exclusive. Let's take a look here at a watch you just don't catch very often. I'm just messing with you guys. It's a Datejust. This is a great piece to get. This is a 8500. It's a 2014 complete. These are mint condition. We actually have two of them available. Smooth bezel on Oyster, but there's very few, if not any, hairlines. This is really ready to be worn. Extremely clean examples, but a great piece to get for under $10,000. A lot of Rolex for the price, basically. Let me know what you think. These Datejusts are kind of the watches that you can dress up and dress down. And personally, I always wear one just because it's just one of my favorite Rolexes you can get. So, got right here, Oyster bracelet. Very nice tight band, as you can tell. This is gonna be a watch that once you buy it, you're gonna have it for a long time. This one's actually kind of exclusive. Right here. One that you actually don't really see very often, but when you do, it catches your eye. James Bond Omega. So this is a really cool piece with a really nice metal mesh bracelet. We have this one available for $8,500. It's an open card, and it's also a complete set. So it's a really cool piece, extremely light, and just, I don't know, everything about it's amazing. I personally like a date function for my watches, so this isn't one that I would necessarily throw in the collection, but then again, I might, just because it is very cool. This is probably one of my favorite Omegas. I just wish they threw a date dial or a date function on it, and I would totally buy one myself. All right, and let's go out with a Rolex here, a white dial Skydweller. So last time I was showing you a blue dial, a really popular piece, but I think these white dials are underrated. This is a solid gold, or solid rose gold on an Oyster Flex, so it's one of the most comfortable bracelets you can ever wear. I really enjoy these Oyster Flex. I've always wanted to get an Oyster Flex watch in my collection. Unfortunately, the Skydweller fits a little too big for me. I don't think I'd pick this up, but maybe with Yachtmaster or something is what I'll go with down the road. But yeah, nice hefty piece. I like it because the clasp being out of solid gold and then the case being out of gold gives a nice weight distribution on it, where it's heavy on the bottom and heavy on the top, but then the sides are really light. So it feels really nice and agile when it's on your wrist, as weird as that sounds. But this is a good example, a clean set. The clasp has minimal wear to it, and it's a 2021 complete, box papers, everything, for $40,000. A really cool piece with a white dial. I think it just pops the best. I like this over the rhodium or the chocolate dial. I would go white all day. That's it for Showroom Showcase. I hope you guys like the way I dressed and the watches that I brought out. This is a good set, kind of all around the range of a beginning Rolex to a nice middle tier Omega, and then just obviously a heavy hitter solid gold piece. So let me know what you think on those and which one you would take. What's up, guys? We're back from the IWJG show in Miami. Fun trip is almost an understatement. It's always extremely busy. It's always very fun. We always get to see our friends that we haven't seen in a little bit. We get to see clients that we haven't seen in a few, specifically our buddy Vince up in Detroit. We got to sit down with him and his friends, go out to Carbone. We had a
such a fun time. To the nitty and gritty, back on the show floor, things are super crazy. I'm sure Jimmy talked about that just a few minutes ago. For the past couple of months, the show has actually been pretty slow, but this time, man, we walked in and it was a packed show, a lot of dealers, and I think we expect it to be even better moving forward, especially in April when the show is actually in Chicago. In April, we're actually hoping to have a larger inventory so we can actually set up a booth again there, and then we can bring Matt along and he can actually record at our booth. When we got to Miami, Marco just came in from Atlanta because he was working on a huge deal for a bunch of vintage watches out there. When I got to Miami, I had about 9 or 10 watches with me going into the show to buy, sell. Ended up getting rid of about half of those, came back with about 4 or 5. It was a decent show, definitely super profitable as far as sourcing. I called Jimmy, I asked him if he can put out a blast, an email blast, an Instagram blast saying we're at the show. We got a ton of forms in, so thank you guys for actually responding to those. It definitely led up to a lot of business. So actually in our private WhatsApp group that we have that we made about 4 months ago, we did a super special deal that anything we found, we were only marking up $500. If you want to actually join that group, contact one of us below and we'll get you added to that ASAP. We usually put out a bunch of good deals on there. Anything that comes in and we know it's cheap, we'll post it in there first actually. So it's kind of a big reason why maybe some of you guys don't even see watches that go on the website yet, because they either snatch it, or I know Jimmy has mentioned in the past, you know, we have a bunch of clients that we think of when specific watches come in, and a lot of that is because of the WhatsApp group, and it's a great way to contact us direct. And right then and there, you know, we get a ton of leads from the website. We also get a ton of leads from that WhatsApp. We're happy to help. Every single one of us are in there. You know, come join and let's see what we can do. I know Jimmy and Dasiah just got done talking about how crazy it can be for the communication between us at the show and here at the office when we buy one watch there, planning on bringing it back for stock. Then we end up seeing another watch, trading that same watch that we bought for this new watch for a profit to buy the second watch, and sometimes that second watch doesn't even last the whole show because we'll go from one booth, buy a watch for let's say $10,000. We know it's a super great price. We'll walk over to another booth, and by the time we get there, you know, we're getting offers for $10,500, $11,000, $11,500 for that same exact watch just because somebody overlooked that watch in passing. It's all about who you know at that show. It's crazy. Because I don't know if you guys remember my Golden Bridge, my Corum that I had. I ended up selling that for about $9,500. I leave that guy for about 30 minutes. I walk back in the show and I see another dealer with it on his wrist. And I go back to the dealer and I'm just, you know, laughing. I'm like, damn, I knew I should have hit that guy up to buy it, but I didn't really have his contact info and I didn't see him that day. So I sold it to you guys. I said, what did you guys sell it for? They ended up selling that same watch for $11,000. And just because I didn't know the right person at the right time, you know, they made $1,500. And, you know, I'm not complaining about that. I think it's just hilarious because not everybody knows each other at that show, which is great because you get to meet a ton of dealers that you never meet online. It just goes back to show what I said before. It's not, you know, what you know, it's who you know. Because if I just hit that guy up, I could have made, you know, the money. But there's enough business out there for everybody. There's enough clients out there for everybody. It's super fun. It's super fast paced at these shows. I don't know how many of you guys have walked down 47th Street in New York, but super fast paced city. And it's just like that in the shows. As far as the communication part goes, you know, we'll pick up a watch. We'll email in or shoot a text to operations that we're buying a watch. And then 5 minutes later, we'll go, hey, sorry about that. We're actually gonna trade that for another watch. Could you void that and just add it to this invoice? I can't imagine what it's like here at the office in the operations room, but I know we're probably a huge headache and while we're having fun over there at the show. So that's just a glimpse of what it's like in the show. Just trying to paint a picture for you guys to show you how chaotic it can be. If you have any comments or questions about it, just leave them in the comments below and Matt will let us know about those. And that's all you got from me today. See you guys next week.